Yeah, hey folks, my name's Jason Wilhelm. I'm probably best known for impoundment barra fishing, well, all types of fishing, but basically I've spent my whole career on the water or in the water, and like a lot of you guys in Australia, I love fishing for everything, but obviously barramundi are my favourite. Well, I was really interested because Carl Jochimson, who's a great friend of mine, rang me from America and said, I'm really excited about something that you really need to see. So he was coming home a month later, so he bought a unit home, and at that time I'd actually done a little bit of research. I'd also noticed that Dan Grech, who's an impoundment barra fisherman and a really talented angler in his own right, he actually had one on his boat, and it really intrigued me. But what was more important to me was how excited Carl was, and he was like, Jace, you've got to see this. So to cut a long story short, he brought it over, we took it to Gladstone, and we started fishing for barra, saltwater barra to start with, and just started to notice like crazy stuff. Bait fish that were just getting drawn to like the bow mount electric where the speaker was, including squid. Squid was sitting underneath the actual speaker, which I'd never seen something like that before, and we'd just drop a squid jig in and they'd just grab it and you'd just pull it out. It was phenomenal. But what I really noticed was the behaviour of fish, like all fish, including the barra. I've never seen situations in a wild environment where barramundi will happily swim up alongside the boat and actually look like they're attracted to something. That was really exciting, but then we went to Faust a couple of days later, and that was where it proved to me, one, that it was ahead of its time, and two, it probably needed a little bit more development because the initial units they weren't real robust, but it worked for us. And I guess what I saw was phenomenal amounts of bait being pulled out of the deep. And I've got so many screenshots and sounder shots of that. And we started catching a lot of barra really quickly, but the thing I noticed was how many fish we were catching on almost the last retrieve. In other words, just in front of the bow mount. I mean, that does happen a lot, but this was happening ridiculously frequently, like more than I'd ever experienced. So I was visualizing that these barramundi were attracted to the sounds, and clearly they were. And obviously the bait fish were all attracted. So to me, it was pretty obvious the benefits of Hydrowave. But after that, what I found was it had so many really relevant uses. And what I mean by that is masking your sound was really important. I found that obviously, you know, bow mount electrics and the like are a really important aspect of, you know, any fisherman that casts lures, but its ability to mask your unnatural sounds, even the sounds you can probably hear now with the water up against a tin hull. I found that by voluming up during the really loud, you know, windy types of scenarios, I found that lessened I guess the intimidating factor that sounds that you can transmit unnaturally and usually without notice. I found it seemed to level that out. And in my experience, it definitely made a difference to not just leave your Hydrowave as a turn on and forget type of scenario. I found that the more effort and energy you put into thinking logically about when you'd use it and how, I found that when it was glassy, I would have the volume right down, be really smart about the noise that I would be transmitting, including sounder and including the bow mount. I found that those low sounds would really make the stealth opportunity greater, and you'd see bait fish flicking on the surface. If you volumed up, you could actually see the bait activity increase. And it was, you know, like I said, I firmly believe that Hydrowave is way ahead of its time, and I guess not everyone believes in that, and that's fine, but I'm telling you, the one thing I know about Hydrowave is that crazy things happen. I've caught some ridiculous, you know, captures, I guess, that I'm certain without Hydrowave it wouldn't have happened. The amount of fish that I caught, and Carl and Chris George as well on particular fishing trips, we would be fighting for the front of the boat because that's where obviously the speaker was attached to, but I think they got sick of me catching a fish on the last two cranks. You know, it was almost like they were sitting under it, and I don't believe they were, but I think that they were kind of milling around it. And obviously the water clarity in that deep water at Faust or in any impoundment you know, it makes it pretty hard to see. And I think if you go down about 4 metres, you pretty much lose, you know, with a set of goggles, you pretty much can't see anything. So I really found that its benefits in open water and edge fishing as well, but really importantly, thinking about when and how you used it was how you get the best results out of it. So I guess to sum up, that's why I really like the Hydrowave. I put a lot of time and energy into it over the years. I've got no affiliation with it these days. I don't earn any money from Hydrowave, but what I can tell you is I think it's a valuable asset. And I think if you don't want to consider it, I think you need to open your mind a little, because if you talk to people that own a Hydrowave, I think all of them will tell you they've seen some crazy stuff, and it's definitely made a difference. I don't think it's a magic bullet. It's never been that, but I think it's a valuable tool, and I think it's equally as important as a good sounder, and it's definitely as important as an electric motor. And I reckon if you've got an electric motor and you understand how loud they can be, even though you think they're quiet, Hydrowave does a perfect job of, you know, masking that sound. And when you've got fish swimming around that are, I guess, less aware of your presence, and they may not know it's you personally as an angler, but they know there's danger around. So if there's a lot of unnatural sound emanating from your boat, and you can override that sound utilising, you know, your Hydrowave, I think that's only a benefit. Not only do I think it, I know it, because I've seen it that many times. That's why I was excited about Hydrowave, and that's why I reckon you should buy one.